Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose.
How are you doing this morning, Jerrod?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I love the role reversal. Now I got the birds chirping and the palm trees in my background. You got the hoodie in the cold weather.
Yeah, man. I don't know what I'm doing over here right now, to be honest with you.
You're chasing dreams, young fella. And sometimes they take you like Rocky. He didn't get to beat Drago by staying at the beach. He had to go to Russia and train in the snow.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Russia. Negative 2 degrees waking up in the morning, but it's good to be back right here where we used to record here in the B-Nail's office in Fort Collins. So
yeah,
grateful to be over here.
That's good. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy that honestly being in Florida, it's 80 degrees right now, and it's been 80 for almost every day, I think. To think this is like their winter, it just blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah, it looks like a tropical jungle in your background right now. It looks beautiful.
I'm not complaining, dude. I'm not complaining at all. Well, let's man, I love it. Almost 3 years coming up, and we got some big news for people and some fun stuff going on. And like we always talked about, man, life, one of the goals in life is always to evolve and to continue to move forward. So I'm excited for today, and I'm excited for tomorrow.
Amen. Yeah, it's been 3 years, just about next month will be 3 years since we sat down at Who Hot and you pitched me on the podcast idea for the On Purpose podcast. So let me ask you this, Jerrod. Is the OPP what you imagined it would be?
I think it's bigger. You know, I mean, I always imagine big. And like when I talked to you, like I told you, I didn't know what it could become, but I knew that we had a role to play for people. And, you know, sometimes we get caught up in the metrics and the data and the likes and the follows and the shares. And we missed that this whole deal was started to make people better, to share stories, and to create more people being aware of that purposeful living and how to get it for themselves, and better yet, how to share theirs with other people. So while it's what I thought it could be, it's still bigger because I know, man, for 3 years, every Thursday we show up in people's houses at the time they might need us most. So like I couldn't even fathom not having it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think the same. You know, I didn't have a specific vision of what it could be. It was just us coming together, having conversations at first, but I know that it has helped me gain so many skills, from interviewing to everything that goes into creating podcast content, having deep, meaningful conversations, speaking, making amazing contacts. So I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity, and I'm kind of just rip the Band-Aid off style. So for our listeners, I've been gone for a little bit because a lot of things have changed in my life. Moving to Florida, new opportunities, starting a new business. And Jerrod and I had a conversation, and I needed to step away for a few months to focus on some different priorities. And after 3 years, we've decided that I'm going to go into a different direction, and Jerrod is going to lead the OPP solo moving forward. So I wanted to come on here and just thank the entire On Purpose community for giving me your time, attention, and support for, almost the last 3 years. And you guys have truly helped me fulfill our daily mission here of empowering ourselves and others to live life with more passion and purpose. And I can say with confidence that the podcast experience has been extremely empowering for me. Sticker on my water bottle, the t-shirts, everywhere I go representing the On Purpose podcast. It's amazing to get people talking about how an episode impacted them or made a positive influence in their life. Fighters having our logo on their shorts. And it's been such an incredible journey that has impacted my life in a hugely positive way. So my primary purpose for today's episode was really to give some gratitude, because the OPP has really uplifted me in so many ways, and for that I am forever grateful.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know the community's learned a lot from you and grown with you, and I think that's the beautiful thing of what we've created and the community that is that we're all growing together, right? Like there isn't one person that's at this pinnacle sharing all the information down. We're all on this journey, and sometimes our journeys drift apart. And sometimes we gotta go do different parts of our journey. And then who knows, some days they come back together. Like you just never know. So as a community, we're grateful for your time and your energy and your commitment for almost 3 years of showing up to serve others and to just grow, right? Like if you think, like if I could sum up one thing that the On Purpose podcast has done for me and hopefully for others, is it's facilitated growth, both in our ideas, some of our beliefs, things that are important, things that aren't important, the challenges personally, the challenges professionally. The one thing that was always common is we always took a moment to say, okay, how do we grow from this? How do we grow from this decision? Or what does this obstacle cause us? Or what is the growth point for why we're doing this right now? And I hope the community sees that change is inevitable, but growth is always optional, right? Like change is always going to be happening, but if you want to grow from it, that's going to be intentional. Like you got to choose that. And I think that's exactly where we're at now. Like you got some more freedom to really grow and pursue some other things. But you'll always be a part of the On Purpose podcast.
Amen. And the On Purpose podcast will always be a part of me.
Because it's a community, right? And it's bigger than any one of us at any one time. It's all of us. And it's going to continue to grow and continue to serve, continue to lead, and continue to follow. And that is life.
It is. I'm curious to know, Jerrod, what have been some of the key things that you learned on this journey together over the past 3 years?
Oh, dude, key things. One, communication, right? Like I think that was what brought us together to begin with, is we knew we were vastly different, right? Like we didn't go out and find somebody that was exactly like us to sit down and have conversations where we're like, oh, this is gonna be so easy, bro. We think exactly the same. Like we're just gonna like bro each other up for an hour and see if people like it. Like we knew, like, okay, we don't agree on this, or we're going to see this completely different. And we were okay with that. And not once did our different opinion of something change the way we felt about each other. Right. And I hope for a lot of people, that's a microcosm for what we can do in the world if we're just willing to listen and look to understand why somebody feels something differently versus trying to prove that you're right or they're wrong. So I think that's one of the things we should be most proud of, is we don't have to be the same to be friends. You don't have to have all the same beliefs to have somebody in your circle. And I think you and I both see the value in having people around us that don't necessarily see things the same way.
Yeah.
What about you? What was a big moment? What would you say, like when you reminisce, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
You know, one of the biggest takeaways from the podcast for me was really practicing what I preach, embodying the things that I speak about, because it's such a different experience when you have a meaningful conversation and we go into something like fear, circle of five, building community, having courage, all of these topics. And then once it's out there, and posted to the world, and I talk about what my values are and how I want to operate, then there's a whole extra layer of accountability to really embody what we're preaching. And for me, I think, these last 3 years really made me just a lot more accountable to the man that I strive to be on a daily basis, to back up what I'm talking about, to practice what I preach, to put it out in the real world, to come up with stories. And there's many instances just going through life that I would think, oh man, I need to do this or that because I said that on the podcast. I say that this is what I do. I say that this is how I am. So I think it's been a very positive influence for me to live a life of purpose and really embody what we talk about here.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I think that should always be our goal in life, is that we are who we are. And I think that's one of the awesome things about showing up loudly like a podcast and like we do on social media, is that when people meet us, they already have an idea of who we are because they've been listening to us, even though you've never met them. Right. And I remember like when we first started getting bigger and we'd go to some fights and stuff, and people were like, "Oh, Ali, I listened to you guys on the podcast." We're both kind of like, "Oh, wait, what's your name again?" Like,
yeah, people like, I feel like I know you. And it's like, oh, shit.
So I think that's a great lesson for our community too, is like, let's make sure that we are showing up in real life like we do on social media, and that when people meet us, we are who we say we are. That accountability piece. And I think that's what you're alluding to there, is the podcast holds us accountable.
Big time.
Yeah. What's if you think of like your funniest moment in 3 years, like when you're like, okay, and I think about this, I still have to laugh, what would that be?
Man, I really enjoyed when we started getting a little crazy with the voices. Just doing like, I would have my Texas voice, and I forget now which other voices we did, but I just remember you thought it was so funny, and you cracking me up would make me laugh. I also like whoever called you Violent Oprah. I thought that was hilarious.
Jesse O'Rulia.
Yeah, that was really funny. Man, there's tons of laughs though. I have a bunch of memories of just being laughing to tears on the show. So we definitely had some awesome laughs.
Yeah, some
How
good
about
ones.
you? You have a specific moment?
Dude, I a lot of them, like there's like your Texas voice was hilarious. Honestly, when you told me about all your bird knowledge since you moved to Florida, and I don't know, was it a woodpecker or something? I was like, well, what other birds? And you were like, well, just really one bird, but I really know.
I know how a woodpecker sounds now.
That was funny, and I'll still always remember when we first started, and Alex tried to make us the On Perot's podcast because Purpose was taken.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, no, so it's good, man. It's good. And I think it's moments like these that are super important in our lives, is I call them U-turns, right? And I think a lot like road trips now, since I pretty much live on the road. And that's when you just stop and look back for a second. And like, you're not always focused on where am I going? Where's my drive? Where's my next thing? That you forget to stop and look back and go, wait a second, man, look how far I've come. Look at all the people that have been there with me on this journey. And look at all the growth that's happened for me and for them and for the community. And just get perspective. I think sometimes we need a little more U-turns in our life, where we slow down, we stop going forward, and we take a moment to just stop and look back.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
That's
back
good.
Here in Foco. So I'm curious, where do you see the future now of the On Purpose podcast with you leading the way solo?
I see it just getting bigger and bigger. I see us continuing to deliver good, purposeful content in a couple of different modes, shorter episodes at time, longer interviews at time, continuing to branch out. One of the beautiful things about traveling now is I get to meet so many different people because I'm never in one spot for very long. So just getting more of the stories. And, when we were both in Fort Collins, we kind of had our routines. We went in the same paths all the time. So kind of we were a little bit limited in who we were coming across that was new. And I think that's my intent here, is to cross paths with more new and exciting people to continue to share the stories. So it's not going anywhere. And it's, I think there's a very big need for purposeful content in our world. And we're, as a community, excited to watch you go forward and see where you go, and continue to support you with that. And we'll continue to grow on our side, and we'll see where paths cross down the road.
I love it. I'm excited to see that next chapter. And, we touched on through this 3-year journey, this first chapter, we can call it, of OPP, we learned, and maybe in some cases relearned or deepened our learning of the value of communication, the value of community, the value of accountability and consistency, like we were talking about. What do you hope to learn in this next chapter of the OPP journey?
What do I hope to learn in the next chapter? Well, I think, like you hit on the head, the first 3 years has all been about consistency. Showing up when maybe you're not sure you should show up. Show up when you're not sure anybody's actually listening to begin with, right? Like we're like, I don't know, I think 10 people listen to it, but we're not 100% sure. So I think we've established ourselves and we built trust in the first 3 years just by being consistent, right? Now people know they can trust us. We're going to continue to be there. So now that we got the trust, now the next evolution is to truly lead, and to lead loudly, and to really push, because now the trust base is the place where people keep up defenses, maybe don't fully commit to you. They don't want to seem vulnerable in front of you because they don't know what's going to happen. I think we've accomplished that by the consistency of 3 years. So I think the next stage is really more leadership and continuing to pull people to the things that they know they should be doing for themselves, but maybe they've been giving themselves passes and letting themselves off the hooks for the last 3 years or longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's part of the process that I want our community to understand. And obviously you and I understand, is you don't get trust overnight. And especially in a medium like podcasting or social media or anywhere where you're trying to influence people's thoughts and behavior, you've got to continually show up before they're going to trust you, right? Like, how many people do you see post a motivational meme, but you literally look at it and be like, dude, you're not doing this. Like, the last 2 before this weren't motivational. Like, it was complete opposite of what you just said, right? And I think a lot of folks, that's kind of the lens we put on society a lot of times. So for us, it's been 3 years of building trust. It's easy to say, trust me. It's more important to show them why they should trust you. And then what do you do once they do trust you? And now that's where I feel like after 3 years, we have their trust, and now it's time to lead people.
Love it.
What is your
leading people to purpose?
So now for your next adventures, where can the On Purpose community continue to stay in touch with Ali? You reviewed the website and stuff. So for our team, Ali will always have a place at the table with the On Purpose podcast. So his profile and stuff's still up on the website. It's going to stay up. There's a link directly to aliabusalam.com. If you want to get over there and see what he's up to. And where else do you want them to follow you, Ali, and keep in touch?
Yeah, really, as long as you know how to spell my name, you can find me on pretty much all social media platforms at Ali Abusalam. The website's great, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And yeah, I feel like the direction I'm going in, it's the same mission of leading people on aliabuslam.com right now, I have an accountability program called Accountability Ascension. And that's because in my journey, I have found that one of the most valuable things to get success in anything, work, relationships, hobbies, anything that you do, is being accountable and actually doing what you say you're going to do, setting the goal, having the tasks that you need to get there, and then actually following through and doing those tasks. But with our world, there's billions and trillions of distractions and things that can derail us. So I have found that so many of us just need a little bit more accountability. And that's going to be a huge part of my next chapter in life, is empowering people through creating a framework and a system that helps us be more accountable.
Love it, man. Anything else you want to say to the community there, Mr. Ali?
I already said it, so I'm so grateful. This has been such a fun ride, an empowering ride, learned so much. And just also to the community, know that Jerrod has said this so many times before, that change is inevitable, right? Things have seasons, and just because something ends doesn't mean it's over forever necessarily, like a bad or negative thing. I think this resembles growth for myself, for you, for the On Purpose podcast, for our entire community. This is a new chapter, and I challenge the community to look at your life and see what things are changing, maybe really evaluate things that you're doing consistently every day or every week, just like I was with the podcast. Really evaluate, and sometimes you have to make a hard decision, like I did, to walk away from something because you want to create or build something different. And that's okay. Not everything is meant to last forever, no matter how amazing it is. And yeah, really all I have to say is thank you. I'm so grateful, and I'm super excited for the next chapter of the OPP, Ali 3.0, Jerrod, whatever 0.0 you are, and our new adventures.
Yeah, well, we're blessed for all that you've given us, Ali, and we're thankful to have had you along the journey for the first 3 years, and we look forward to supporting where you go from here. And one final note for our community, I want you to understand, like, to me, one of the greatest forms of leadership is when you create other leaders, right? Too many people think leadership is about having followers, and leadership is about creating other leaders. And I think that's exactly where we're at now. Is it's time for Ali to step forward and lead his community, and to step forward and lead himself in the direction that's true to his heart. And while selfishly, for consistency and just comfort, I would love to talk him out of it and say, stay here because this is what we got. That is not leadership, right? That is my ego speaking. That would be control speaking. That would be comfort speaking. And the fact is, growth for both of us requires this. So if you are somebody that's in a position of leadership and you are leading other people, when it's time for them to leave the nest and fly, you need to give them the push and the blessing to do so with a clear conscience, so that they still come back to you for guidance in the future, not resent that you tried to keep them from fulfilling their true potential. So to me, Ali, I wish you well, my friend. I want to just push you out this nest and let you go flap your wings and see how high you can fly, my friend.
Making woodpecker sounds. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Love you. Love the OPP community. You know where to find me. And on to the next one, living life with more passion and purpose.
And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.